Alright, grade 8 students, Mr. Unigame with another review video before your big quiz. I just want to go over some of the key problems from section 5.3. And for 5.3, first of all, I'm just going to skip the warm-up. I don't want to do the warm-up, so please see your notes for the warm-up. When we're doing the problems for in-class assignment 3, or sorry, for this assignment, I realized that a lot of the students probably didn't watch Mr. Vidich's homework video. And if you're not watching the videos and if you come to class, you may not have an idea of how to do the problems. But let me just go over some of the main concepts that you need in order to complete section 5.3 of the homework. Now for 5.3, we'll be working with a lot of variables. And variables are simply just letters, like M or X or Y. And you need to know the difference between adding variables and multiplying variables. They're two different things. Okay, so if I have the letter M, and if I add it to another letter M, and if I add it to another letter M, this will give you a 3M. Okay. If I have something like A plus A plus A plus A plus A, well, how many A's do you have? Well, I have 5 A's, so that's the same thing as adding 5 apples, right? So if I add 1 apple plus 1 apple plus 1 apple plus 1 apple plus 1 apple, that means I have 5 apples. Okay. Now, if you have different letters like M plus A, you can't simplify that. You can only add the variables if they are the same character. Okay, so M plus A is the same thing as just M plus A. You cannot simplify M plus A. Now, a few other things that are very useful. If you have something like BA plus BA, notice that these letters are the same, so you can definitely add those. Those will be 2BA. So if you add BA plus BA, that's 2BA. If you have BA plus AB, where I kind of just switch the order here, but that's the same thing, right? Because in mathematics, if you have 2 times 4, that's the same thing as 4 times 2, right? So these guys and these guys are the same thing, so that's still going to be 2BA or 2 times AB. Okay, so you got to be careful with those because this will come up quite often in this assignment here. Now, the other problem I had with students on this lesson was that a lot of students didn't know the difference between adding variables and multiplying variables. Well, if I have the letter A, and if I multiply that with A, and if I multiply that by A, generally speaking, when you're multiplying letters together, you just have one letter and you count the number of letters, which is 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be A to the power of 3. Okay. Now, why does this work? Well, in mathematics, if you have just letters, all these letters have a power of an invisible 1 here. Okay. So if I do something like 2 times 2 times 2, sorry, let me just do a numerical value here. I think if I give you guys a numerical value, then I think you guys might be able to accept this more. So 2 times 2 times 2, that's the same thing as, I'm trying to emphasize that A times A times A is A cubed. Well, 2 times 2 times 2, I mean, that's the same thing as, well, 2 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2, that's going to be 8, right? This is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3. Right? So notice that I'm not doing I'm not saying that 2 times 2 times 2, I'm not saying this is going to be 2 plus 2 plus 2. Right? So basically, if you use a numerical value, you'll see that all you have to do is, if you have the same number or letter being multiplied to each other, you keep that same number or letter, and then you just raise it to the power of the number of times you see that letter. Okay? So that's the difference between multiplying and adding letters, alright? So hopefully that example there with this numerical value of 2 times 2 times 2 can help you see the difference between adding and multiplying variables. And once again, I feel like if you had watched the videos carefully, you would have seen that through Mr. Vich's lessons. But once again, I feel like a lot of you didn't take the proper time to watch the videos, like DJ. Okay, nonetheless, let's just go over some of these questions here now that you know the difference between adding and subtracting. Okay, so let's do this. I have 3a plus 5a, so the letters are the same, so this will be 8a. 5c, 5c minus 8c, that's going to be negative 3c. And over here I have 5c and 8c, so this is the same thing as negative 5c plus 8c. And if you're not very good with you know, doing these kind of problems here, a very good thing you could do is you could just flip this around. This is the same thing as 8c minus 5c, which is going to be 3c. Okay, so 3c is the final answer there. Or you can just directly go to 3c if you're very good with negative numbers. So once again, for these kind of questions, the question is asking us to find the sum, right? So sum means we just add the two expressions that are given to us. So the next one is 4x plus x. That's going to be 5x. This is 4a plus 3b. Now, are these letters the same? They're not, so we can just leave our answer as just 4a plus 3b. Over here, a and b, are those the same? They're not, so my final answer here will be 5a plus 5b, and that's it. Those two questions are just recognizing if you understand how to add letters. And if the letters are not the same, then you can't combine them. That's the rule. Alright, the next one here I have negative 9ab and 6ba. You'll notice that the ab and the ba, they're in different order, but they're still the same letters. So this is the same thing as negative 9ab plus 6ba, and that's going to be negative 3ba. Or you could say negative 3ab. Doesn't matter, those are the same answers. And then for H and J, you'll note one thing that you have to notice right away is that the letters are not the same. You have more A's or less B's, so this will simply just be the two expressions added together. And finally over here, once again, if you look at your letters, the letters are not exactly the same, so you just want to just add these. Now, one thing that really got me annoyed on the assignment was that a lot of you, didn't really simplify this plus and the minus, right? So whenever you have a plus and the minus sign always wins. So your final answer should be written as this. Okay? All right, so let's move on. Next question is asking for the product. So product means multiply. So lots of students did this, 2a times 6b, and then they stopped. And if they did that, this is, well, it's kind of right, but we can definitely get a better answer. And all you have to do here is you just take your 2 and your 6 and you multiply those together, and that will give you your 12. And then we have our a and our b, and a times b is just a times b. So 12ab. And that's it. So many of the students I saw just gave me this as an answer, which is not good enough. I want 12ab as a final answer. And that's exactly what Mr. Vidich did did in his video as well. So make sure you follow the instructions. All right, next one, 6x times 2y. This is going to be 12xy. Next one here is I have 6x times negative 3z. Well, I have one negative there, so my final answer should be negative 18xz. All right, moving on. I have 3n times 6p. This will be 18np. The next one here I have negative 4p times 3q. This will be negative 12pq. And over here, I'm just going to do this in one step. 3 times 4, negative 4 is going to be negative 12. Notice that I have two a's there and one a there, so that's going to be a to the power of 3 and 1b, so negative 12a cubed b. And once you get the hang of this, you should be able to do these questions a little bit faster once you've practiced this enough. For question number G is a little bit more difficult because the numbers are bigger here, so negative 31 and negative 12. If you take 31 and times it by negative 12, you get negative 372. and then match up your a's. I have a to the power of 3, and I also have 3 b's, so this would be b to the power of 3. So there's your answer for that one. The next one, negative 17, highlight that, and 14. Negative 17 times 14 is negative 238, so please take your time, work that out. Then I have an x here, and no x is there, so I'll leave my x here, and then I have a y there and a y to the power of 2 there, so this will be y to the power of 3. So there it is. There's my final answer there. Alright, so moving on. Once again, I had a few students who were asking me what does quotient mean, and I believe Mr. Vidic did a good job of explaining what that means. So when you're finding the quotient, you want to find the result once you divided the two expressions. So I have 128a divided by 16a. Okay, and you know, if you have an a on the top and an a on the bottom, simply those can just cancel out, and you're just left with 128 over 16. So 128 divided by 16, if you do the math here, this should give you an answer of 8. So 8 is my final answer for question number 3. Moving on here, I have 33m. So 33m is being divided by, sorry, let me get you a proper m here, being divided by 44mn. Notice that I have an m on the top and an m on the bottom, so those will just cancel out. If I take 33 and 44, and if I divide each term by 11, this is going to be 3 over 4, and then you'll notice that I still have this little n over here, so the n will be on the bottom, so 3 over 4n. Alright, and finally the last one is going to be negative 32xy divided by negative 12yz. Now, I see a positive sign and a positive sign, two positive signs, and when you're dividing, if you have an even number of positive signs, your final answer should be positive. Notice I have a y there and a y there, so those y's will cancel. So that would mean I have an x and z left, and this is going to be 32 over 12. And 32 over 12, if you divide each side by 4, I should get 8x over 3z. So 8x over 3z for that one. Alright, and then finally, question number 4 here. Question number 4 was just pretty much testing you on your general skills. I think the first 6 questions are okay. It's the last 3 that cause a few more problems, but let's just go ahead and do all these problems here. 3 apples plus 7 apples, that's going to be 10 apples. Then I have 3a times 7a, well that's going to be 21a squared. Remember, I have an a and an a. Whenever you are multiplying letters, you need to have an exponent, okay? Next one, I have a 3, a 5, and a negative 7. So 3 times 5 is going to be 15. 15 times negative 7 is going to be negative 105. Alright, so if you multiply all those blue numbers together, you should get negative 105. How many a's do you have? I have 2 a's, and since I'm multiplying them together, it should be a squared, and then the b would just come down. Alright, so that's it. Moving on. For question number D, once again, highlight your numbers as mentioned in Mr. Vidic's video there. So negative 5 times negative 6 times 2, that's going to be 60. And then I have 3 C's. No, I have 4 C's. Sorry, I have 4 C's. The 4 C's are highlighted in green. There's 2 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So this would be C to the power of 4. Right, let's move on. For the next one, for question E, I have a 4F and a 9F. So 4 plus 9 is going to be 13F. And then I can just bring down this 4FG. 4FG doesn't have any other common partners, so we just leave that alone. And the next one here is a straight out, so sorry, this one should be pretty simple here. So 4 bananas minus 3 bananas is 1 banana. 1 banana minus 7 bananas is negative 6 bananas. So negative 6b for that question. And alright, let's get down to these last few questions here, G, H, and I. These are the questions that even the good students had troubles with. So let's walk through these last 3 problems here. Now, what I recommend is when you have problems like G, H, and I, just work from the left to the right and just focus on the first 2 terms. Okay, so focus on that part in yellow. If I have negative 3 and if I times that by 7, I should get negative 21, and then a squared b divided by 42b. Alright, so as mentioned in my previous examples here, I have a b there and a b there. So if you have a b on top and the bottom, they just cancel off. And then I'm going to highlight this negative 21 and this 4. So if you take, sorry, it's not 4, it's actually 42. So if I look at negative 21 divided by 42, I mean, how many times does 21 go into 42? Well, 21 divided by 42 is like 50%, so this will be negative 1/2, and you're left with this a squared, and your final answer you can leave as negative a squared divided by 2. So either one of these would be acceptable answers for question number G. And that's it. Let's move on. Next question, once again, you want to work from the left to the right. This time you have a division sign. So when you have a division sign, you may write this as negative 5x divided by 15y. Okay, and then from here, just simplify this. I have a negative 5 and a 15. Well, that's going to be negative x over 3y. And then if you go back to the original question, you have a division sign. So division sign means this, right? And I'm going to put this 4xy over 1, and you probably know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to change this division sign to a multiplication sign, and then I'm going to have 1 over 4xy. And after that, you just multiply. What is negative x times 1? Negative x times 1 is negative x, divided by, well, what's 3 times 4? Well, that's going to be 12. And then how many y's do I have? I have 1 y there and 1 y there, so that's going to be y squared and x. And then you'll notice that I have an x here and an x there, and that will cancel off, and this will give you negative 1 over 12y squared. Okay, so there's like a 1 here and a 1 there. You just cancel them off, and this 1 here is that 1 there. Okay, let's move on to the last question here. HI. So once again, just work from left to right. So negative 32x divided by 4y, that's the same thing as negative 32x divided by 4y. And you'll notice that the negative 32 and the 4, if you simplify that, that's going to be 8x over y. Times, because I have a times sign here, 5yz. And I'm going to put this over 1. And all you have to do now is just multiply straight across. Well, what's 8 times 5? 8 times 5 is 40. X, Y, Z over Y. And you'll notice that, well, because, Y times 1 is going to be, Y times 1 is just Y. And I have a Y there, so those will cancel off. Sorry, this is a Z, by the way. So your final answer is 40xz. And one thing I forgot was the minus sign over here. So there's a minus sign, and a minus sign. So that's my final answer there, negative 40xc. And that concludes this video. As you can see, even though I did take a few minutes at the start of this video to explain the difference between adding and multiplying variables, you were still able to finish this assignment during class. And you could probably finish this in 20 minutes if you actually tried. So note to grade 8 students, you need to come to class, you need to work in class, you need to watch the 8 or 10 minute videos prior to coming to class, and you should be fine. So if you weren't able to finish, you just need to stay focused, and let's just try to have a better class next time. Alright, see you guys.